Welcome to the Harrison Boone Podcast.
What's your last name, Dave?
Robledo.
Robledo. Italian.
Spanish.
Spanish.
I get Robert Elbow a lot. Robert Elbow.
I'm here with Rob Elbow.
It's funny because some people they actually totally disregard my first name and call me Rob.
Really?
They
Just as a surname?
I don't know why. It's kind of like they see Dave and then Robledo and then they just disregard Dave completely and just shorten it, call him Rob.
What do you get as a nickname?
Rob.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, now Bam Bam.
So Dave Robledo
Yeah.
from Bam Bam Clothing, or is it Bam Bam Inc., or what is it these days? Because it started out as hats and now you just...
Yeah.
I saw you in the shoe shop the other day and you
Yeah.
brought out a line of custom shoes. What shoe
Yeah.
shop was that again?
Spring Court.
Spring Court. Yeah, I saw the logo out the front. I was like,
Yeah.
Dave's coming.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked over and said hello to you and walked around the shop, and I'm going to be honest, the shoes were so basic, but everything you touched was phenomenal.
Thanks,
like,
man.
really cool.
It was to get to your question. It started out as Bam Bam hats, and then it has evolved into, I do my own pants and I do jumpers and I do the shoes from Spring Court collaboration with those guys. So I call it's called Bam Bam, but it's more than just hats now. Yeah.
And it's spelled BXM.
Yeah.
BXM.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for the spelling, the odd spelling?
Yeah, that was the reason behind it is because I couldn't get BamBam.com. So when I wanted to try and make it official of what I was doing, Bam Bam was obviously pretty popular, so that was taken. And then, are we on now? Are we rolling?
We're rolling, bro. We're 2 minutes in.
I guess this kind of starts from the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How it all came about.
Yeah, go from the start. Yeah.
Well,
it's interesting. You go from the start where you started to now doing collabs with Spring Court,
yeah.
and I got walked through Bondi and I see your hats everywhere now. But in saying that, not everyone's wearing them. I just see them all over Bondi. Like they're like a local icon, and it's a huge Bondi flex to be wearing a Bam Bam hat.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, thank you. I appreciate that because it's kind of interesting to see that side of where it's gone because
I only bought one to feel superior and flex on others while I walk around Bondi.
Yeah. Well, that's why we made a big skull on the side of mine.
No, I love mine. Hey,
Yeah.
I really like mine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the process of you walked me through the entire hat. So I had an idea of what I wanted, and you walked me through the entire process.
Yeah.
And at the end, even though I got very, very, way more exceeded my expectations and very similar to what I was after, and again, it exceeded my expectations of what I wanted, I will say that I felt like I was completely walked through the tailoring of a hat to exactly... You know, you can walk into any shop and buy a hat, but it's something special to come from a small business where you meet the owner, they walk you through the process of how they make it, they pick, you picked the stitching, helped pick the logo and the design, and that whole process was custom right from start to finish, which is so unique to your business.
Yeah, it is, man, and it's funny because if we go back to how it all kind of started, I'd never made anything before in my life, so it was very...
Dave's dying to go back to the start, so we'll go back to the start.
Yeah. Well, I guess I actually don't think about it too often, but it comes up quite a bit. How do you make hats and how do you get into this sort of stuff?
So where did you start? How did you start?
I started a couple of years back, where I used to live around here in this neck of the woods,
Maroubra.
and I love it down here. I mean, I'm close to the water everywhere from now on. So, and at the time I was in a relationship, and we were living together. We're doing the whole thing, and I got given an Akubra hat for my birthday. It was a black cowboy kind of off the shelf hat, right?
Hot.
And I was like, thanks.
Yeah,
This
that's
is-
how I'd be if someone gave me a black cowboy hat. Yeah.
You know, the intention was to, you know, like something different, you know.
Yeah.
So it was that, and you know, for whatever happened, we parted ways, and I
This was an ex-girlfriend who gave this to you?
an ex-girlfriend, yeah. We parted ways, and so I took the hat and I burnt it and I ripped it and I cut it, ran over it on my motorbike, threw it in the ocean.
Out of spite to the relationship, or?
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't out of spite. For, you know, we parted ways amicably, but it was more so in the sense of like,
You
I've
just
got
hated
this
that
thing.
fucking hat.
I needed to do something with this hat, but it was really just to give it some character and some give it some of my steez.
To wear it.
So it was wearable, because
Abusive
otherwise,
wear is so hot right now.
yeah, that rustic lux. So I stitched it all up, trashed it all up, stitched it back together, and then I moved back to Bondi, and I was staying in a buddy's little tiny bedroom there, and I was walking down the promenade in Bondi, and someone had seen me wearing it, asked me where I got it from. I told them the story, and they were like, "Can you make one for me?"
Oh, really?
So then I was like, "I guess so," and so I had no idea about how it would go about, and my answer to that was to go on eBay, find your size in whatever color hat you were interested in, and then I would bid on it, get it back, customize it in my little style, and there wasn't any really option of, you know, like I want it to be like this, or I was just kind of like what I was doing.
So you would just do anything you felt the
Yeah.
hat needed, or that
Yeah.
you found artistic in your own way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then give it, so the customer didn't actually know what they were buying at this point.
It was very, very organic in the sense of like, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm getting that.
Okay.
So that's how that kind of stemmed into the.
Well, that's nice that you like were sort of left alone to your own art.
Yeah.
And the customer would wear that out.
Yeah, and I was surprised because I was like, man, I can't even draw. Like, I don't know why this is even taking place right now, but I'm stitching feathers and I'm stitching butterflies, and somehow I was actually able to piece it together. And so then I started building, and then from there it was all through word of mouth. I didn't have any sort of social presence whatsoever. And a friend of a friend would say, "Hey, can you make mine for me? I've always wanted to get a hat. I like your style, blah blah blah." And then it was so difficult for me to try and find these hats on eBay that I just literally went onto YouTube and Googled how to make a hat. And then the rabbit hole was completely.
Probably the first search that you should have done.
That was definitely it.
How to make hats.
What am I doing here?
The next one is how to avoid tax for a small business. Yeah. The two searches go hand in hand.
That's now. That's now.
How to avoid tax, take cash only small business. Okay, so you went on to Google, you searched how to make a hat.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously a rabbit hole of hat
Yeah.
making processes.
So
right?
so the process surprisingly wasn't too difficult. It was literally find a supplier that provides the material to make the felt out of, and I was getting schooled on everything. It was made out of rabbit fur predominantly. There's different felts, wool, a little bit cheaper, and then it goes up to the range up to beaver fur, so it's very premium. So I found a supplier.
Beaver fur is premium.
It depends on what kind of beaver you are using, I guess, or involved with.
I'm not going to make any further innuendos. I think we all know where I was headed with that.
Yeah, custom. So then I found a supplier, and it turns out that they're from Ukraine. So then I was in this conversation with the supplier, getting different coloured felt sent over my way, and then, you know, I literally moved into another apartment. A 1-bedroom thing was for myself. Had a little setup there, and I started making the hats from scratch in the kitchen with a $30 kettle and an iron that I inherited through my parents many years down the line. Still works.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Yeah. So from that point, it started to build a little bit more. Once people sort of realized that I was actually making the hat from scratch, it became more of a conversation piece with other people who had one, because it was built entirely by me, and then I could put my brand onto that from there. and then I open up the channels to it's my kid's birthday. I wanted this teddy bear, or I want something stitched onto it, and then it became more personal. And then one day, I'd be doing a butterfly, and then I'd be doing a skull, and then I'd be doing a cookie, whatever it might be. And I was like, okay, this is turning into something more than I ever knew that it was possible.
So it started off as basically an organic, artistic endeavor, and then it's slowly through word of mouth and people wearing them and talking to their friends. And I found you through Instagram.
Yeah.
I saw your page on Instagram, and it's just Bam Bam on Instagram for anyone listening. I went through your photos and I was like, these are some of the coolest hats I've ever seen. I have to get one.
Yeah.
And then DM'd you. You replied back quite quickly. I remember, I think I DM'd you, and I think you replied back within about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think probably at the time I didn't have too many followers, so it was quite easy to get back to.
I think you had about 20,000 followers or something.
Well, I've got 4,000.
4,000,
Yeah.
mayed 200.
Yeah, maybe
I added a couple of zeros. Yeah. No, I thought you had a few.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. There was times where it sort of peaked up.
Yeah.
But prior to.
You might have had 2,000.
Yeah.
You might have had 2,000. Yeah, and then I've gone. But look, that's totally irrelevant. The thing that is relevant is the work. When I scrolled through your feed and saw all of the work you had done, some of the just most wild hats, like pink and neon blues, and then all of the stitching, like you were stitching birds flying into the sides of them, and just this really cool vibe to the layout of your Instagram feed as well was like really like quite professional.
Thank you, man.
I like that little hardwood sort of stand you have that you set the hats on.
Yeah.
That's really photogenic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a vintage hat block. And that was
But it just makes the photos look really good.
Yeah.
And rustic and kind of cool. And then so I said I have to have one of these. I DM'd you. And then you replied back in like 40 minutes, and then the next step was obviously to get in there and try and design a hat. And then so you gave me your address in Bondi. Are you still running the business from your address?
Yeah, I still do it from my bedroom in Bondi. Yeah, North Bondi. And
Is it weird when you bring chicks home and you have to like clear the hats off the bed?
It would be weird for my girlfriend to find that out. yeah, that would be weird. But, I kind of have my setup. I mean, I'm quite minimal as it is, so I don't have too much stuff. So the front section of my house, the lounge room, is kind of set up as a studio workspace.
Yep.
And showroom.
Yeah.
I put all the hats up on the wall and stuff. So no one gets to see.
When I walked in, there was like a mural to all your work. There's about 20 hats on the wall, and you were getting to try stuff on. And it was a pretty cool experience. I remember you took me into your little area, like you've got like a little studio kind of thing set up in the back of the apartment there, and you sort of showed me how you just started working a hat. You got a blank off the shelf, and you got the steamer out, and then you just started working with it. And within about 10 minutes, you kind of already made the shape of the hat. Yeah, I mean, it's the particular style I was after. I was surprised by how like the process looked quick. Obviously, there was a lot more work to still go into it. But the process looked quick because I can tell you've done hundreds of them by that stage. Yeah, it's actually not a real difficult. It's not a really difficult process to be completely honest. It's just manipulation through steam and pressure. So you get the blank. It kind of looks like a mushroom, and you steam it up. You loosen the fibers up because it's just and once it gets warm, they become more pliable, and then you stretch it over the block with whatever size head you are. So I think yours was like a 59 or something like. Is that fat? Is that a fat head? Fat head, PH fat head. And surprising, mate, you can't pick it. Some people have huge domes and some people have little tiny domes. Where was I on the scale of huge dome to little tiny pinhead? You were on the spectrum. On the spectrum? On the spectrum. It's been set up on the spectrum before, That was the design. Make this a spectrum hat. But you just manipulate over the block and then you cut it down to what width you rolled a ball in the hat, I remember. You're like rolling it and then stretching it, I think, with the steam.
I think maybe
You had like a foam ball or like something that you were rolling the hat inside the hat.
I think we were.
Might have even been a timber ball.
It might have been the hat stand that's kind of stretching it out, but that's the process. And then from there you let it dry, sand it back, make it smooth, get that finish. And then the sexy part of it all is doing the customizations. So,
How long did you spend stitching this from memory?
For
anyone listening, it's is this bone colour?
That's a bone colour, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a bone like blank hat.
Yeah.
And then you stitched a skull and some like speck.
Yeah.
Sort of,
We did some
almost looks like like it's when someone spray paints real fast and you get that speckle of paint.
kind of
So it's like a skull and then like speckles of paint and then you stitch what's this called, the inside of the brim?
just the sweatband.
Yeah.
Traditionally, a lot of other hatters use leather, but I wanted to make mine functional and you sweat a lot if you got a leather band in there. So especially being around in Bondi over summertime and stuff, it's not too.
Not comfortable.
It's definitely not comfortable to have sweat dropping down the back of your neck when you're at North Bondi Fish.
No.
So I kind of did my little take on it. After a while, learning how to manipulate them and how to do the shape, I just kind of put my own flavour onto them and just went from there.
How long to stitch this one from memory, do you think?
Couple of hours, good couple of hours, I think.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, depends on what we do. Like sometimes there's a marathon and I'm like, I can't put this down. Some of them are a little bit quicker.
You told me that, I do remember from our conversations, you were like, I'm really into this hat for some reason.
Yeah.
You just couldn't put it down, so you probably smashed it out a lot quicker than you would normally.
Yeah, that's literally like how my brain kind of works. I think
ADD brain.
Definitely. If I focus on something for a long period of time, I get really invested.
Do you like me when as soon as you put it down, if it's not complete and you walk away, you find it really hard to come back to it?
Yeah.
I'm the same.
And so I learned a lot about myself in starting this process because I spent a lot of time by myself. And prior to all this, I'd always work in a team environment. So I used to run nightclubs and I was very active and moving around. Not necessarily healthy because the nightlife and stuff, but I was always around other people, so there's conversations about stuff. So when I spent a lot of time by myself, you're kind of like very insular. So there's sometimes where I'm like 10 hours and I haven't even stood up. And I'm like, man, where did the time go? You know what I mean?
You've done like a whole day and then
Completely.
some on your work.
Yeah.
And then the clock's just flown by, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because you have to realise that, which I learned through the process, is like if you don't take those breaks, then you get a different perspective of things. So something that might take 2 hours has taken 6 because I haven't done it right. I did a hat yesterday and it was for this lady who wanted a flower of life. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, no worries. And I was like, fuck, what is that? So
You try to get someone that like goes, yeah, and then figures it out.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
So I Googled it and it was this hardcore sacred geometry piece with tiny circles. And it forms together to become like this big ball of flowers. And I was like, fuck.
Why did I say yes to this?
How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
So I spent quite a bit of time sort of just procrastinating and looking at it and putting it off. And then finally, I found a little tiny round circle in my studio somewhere. I used that as the pattern, traced it around it with a pencil and just went for it. And I fucked it up, took it apart.
Yeah.
And then realised the second time around not to do that same mistake, and then got it done in the end. And I'm like, literally, it's one of the ones where I'm like, fuck. It seems simple, but it's highly detailed, and it comes like, fuck, that was a long time.
Yeah, a lot of work goes into something simple, yeah.
The ones, the less detailed seem to be way more challenging than I want a dog or I want a bird, because you can see the colours. The other ones are look round circles or whatever. I mean, they're really, really difficult.
Yeah, and I suppose because you're hand stitching everything, getting like perfect geometric shapes are going to be much more challenging than like, obviously, if you're doing a dog, like say the outline of a dog's head.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be perfect. It's the imperfections that make it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah. And you know, there's a little bit of leeway in there because it is hand stitched. I think because people can sort of see my style.
Yes.
If it's machine done, it's kind of like I could just get that off a shelf.
Yeah, which is what's so interesting and what's so iconic about your brand and your work is the fact that it is so imperfect. Like it does look like someone's 30-year-old hat that's bounced around the entire country on the back of a wagon, and then someone stitched it back together, and then it's like fashion.
Yeah,
It's derelict.
it's definitely derelict. I mean, that was not the intention. The intention early on was to give something some character. So I guess in a way,
But that's what you've done
yeah,
to all your work, is you've given it character. Like
yeah,
I remember I was walking down out the front of Ravisi's. I had just had breakfast with one of my best mates, and I was walking down out the front of Ravisi's to get a coffee, and there was a guy sitting on a chair, elderly gentleman, probably in his 50s, and I noticed the hat straight away. Like you had one of your hats on, and it's so easy to pick them, right? Because they're every one of them. There's just nothing else out there like your work, right? And I went up to him and I said, "Oh, you're wearing a bandana?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "How do you like it?" You know, just chatting with him. He said, "Yeah, I love it. You know, they're very popular around here." I said, "Yeah. Do you notice it straight away?" And I said, "He does great work, and you know, it's a great hat. Enjoy it." And the man was pleasant and said thanks, and he was with someone having a coffee, so I didn't want to be rude, and then I walked
yeah,
off. But it was a pleasant interaction.
yeah.
But yeah, just the work and what you've done has been so well received in Bondi, which I'm going to be quite frank is probably the hardest market to make a mark in, because a lot of people around Bondi are very brand aware. You know, they're very how do I put this? They're very discerning when it comes to spending big money on brands. Not that your hats are outlandishly expensive, but they're not cheap.
Yeah.
And so to break into that market and then make a huge name in the local community, which is Bondi, is like a huge achievement in itself.
Yeah,
right?
thank you. Yeah. I mean, thank you, because I think I think about this quite a lot, is that I was never in fashion before. I was never, before I started stitching my own clothes, it was black head to toe, you know, like it would
Nothing
be
wrong with it, bros.
no, but you know, like I could go into any shop and I could pull the thing off the shelf and I know that someone else would be wearing the same thing. You know, it'd be General Pants or whatever it might be, the option AS Color, whatever it might be. So I always knew that I had some sort of difference in fashion sense, but I was never interested in it. And then, you know, to answer what you were talking about before about breaking into it, it was purely same people on the same level thinking the same thing, I guess. They're like, fuck, I want a hat. I've always wanted one, but I don't want one off the shelf. And now I can actually have something that's custom, and my friend has one also, and there's the intro.
Yes.
So it's very organic, and it's very, it's a pleasant experience because I know you through someone else, and I know him through you, and I know that person and that person. It's kind of like this network and this connectivity of other people who are kind of like.
Have I sent anyone to you?
Yes, someone came to me a little while ago. But people often say I'm friends with such and such, and I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, you made this hat. I'm like, fuck, I made so many. I don't know which one it is.
Did seeing your hat on TV trip you out a little bit? Because I wore it on maths a couple of times for a couple of different shots.
Yeah, it did actually. And you know, you're talking about they're very recognisable. In Bondi specifically, you can see them a mile away because they have a certain shape. They have a kind of a aura, whatever you want to call it. But on TV, I was like, I couldn't believe that it was actually my creation that I actually had made for you. So it was kind of surreal, and I was like, man, is he gonna wear it all the time? Is it this kind of thing? Is this like
Yeah. No, producers didn't want me to wear it.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, they're like no hats, strictly no hats on maths, right? And so I got away with it on 2 occasions where we were doing traveling shoots. So one was in Perth and one was in the Hunter Valley.
Yeah.
And I specifically packed it because I was like, oh, you know, I've got to wear this hat. It's just such a cool fucking hat. And but again, if it was on home turf where the executive producers are, there's like no way.
Yeah. Right.
I would
Okay.
have gotten away with it. But again, because we were traveling, we were quote unquote off site.
Yeah.
The rules are kind of a bit more bendy.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you're one-on-one with your producer and they're so busy running around with sound guys and camera guys and setting you up and setting the shots up that they don't give a fuck what you're wearing. So I was like, yeah, I'll get away with this. And then both times I got away with it. I was like, yeah, Dave's going to get some free advertising.
It was awesome.
I just wish that there was like, we should have stitched BXM on the side so that like the whole country would have been like, oh, I've got it. You know, if they like the hat, they would have known where to...
Dude, it was really I've been on TV a couple of times actually. So my girlfriend, her mother, she was on Big Brother.
Really?
Yeah. So similar kind of. They were like no hats, you know, because obviously they want people to see their face, but she managed to get it on there too, and it wasn't as like featured.
I don't mean to brag, but MAFS is bigger, more audience.
It definitely was bigger this time around, and in fact, I remember seeing it, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be fucking great for my socials. I'm gonna be able to push this out there, and then. I've never seen someone get lit up so much in my life.
On your socials?
No, on your socials.
Oh, my socials, bro.
Everyone's
How
like,
bad
fuck,
was it?
these guys getting lit up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this is the best time.
Do I associate myself with this guy?
Yeah. Fuck.
Mate, look, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Mate, I don't watch TV. I watched a few episodes on you to see you on there, and I think knowing how the industry works is there's the truth, and then there's the edited version of what's going down.
No.
And you could tell by watching that show that it was very, very dramatic.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, you've met me in person.
Yeah.
You've seen me in real life. What happened on that show was very specific to that show, right? Like, it's not like if yourself, myself, and our girlfriends were all out to dinner that I start saying shit that would break you guys up, or as if I would actually like give a shit about how your relationship is doing. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
Right? But on that show, it's encouraged. Like, the producers are like, no, ask questions. Like, get in there. Like, that's what we want to see. Like, the producers are actually saying, we specifically want you to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So people think I just walk around in life like
Yeah.
this fucking emotionless robotic narcissist just attacking everyone's relationships. And no, like, it was very much dog eat dog in there, and very edited, and
brave man for taking that on, man.
My only regret is
my hat off to
staying. Take my man down off. My only regret is staying for as long as I did. I should have left a lot sooner.
Yeah.
But I never knew why I didn't trust her. I just knew that I didn't. And I was then, that is the problem with being gaslit, is you start to question yourself rather than going, no, I should trust my gut.
Yeah.
But, all the stories were always changing, and it was very, the whole experience was so surreal. Like, I can't even explain it to people, that you're in this pressure cooker that's constantly being shaken.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can't put your feet on the ground ever. Like, it's just always moving. And so I guess in amongst all of that chaos, I just wanted to do something for you and your brand.
Well, mate, you know what? When I saw it, I was like, man, this is going to be great. And just simply because of like a buddy's wearing my piece, that's enough for me. When people say, I'm going to tell everyone, I'm like, look. People say a lot of things. Followers don't necessarily matter in that world. It's about, if you're wearing it down the street, then that's social validation.
More of a cred, yeah.
Way more. And I had a guy come around today, and he wants me to make a hat turn around quickly because he's got a wedding in Ibiza, and Idris Elba's going to be there. He's mates with all these celebrities, and you know,
I've seen
who
articles
knows?
about him being the next James Bond like every week.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the last James Bond, so whoever it
That's
might be.
good. Daniel Craig killed it, man.
The latest one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to check it out.
Have you not seen any of Daniel Craig's?
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest one.
I think it's No Time to Die or something. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Really good, mate. You have to. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but you
No, I'm gonna
have to
check it
see it. If you like watching Daniel Craig just go absolutely apeshit for like 2 hours,
Yeah,
can't recommend enough.
I'll check it out.
He's a badass, man.
He's a
I don't
badass.
think they're going to top Daniel Craig.
He's someone who I would love to make a hat for.
Daniel Craig,
Yeah.
or Idris Elba.
Either one. I think Idris Elba is probably a little bit more steezy.
I don't think he'd really wear it. It's not really his. He's very buttoned up, isn't he? Like suits and.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty chill. Like he's a DJ and stuff. I think he's got a whole different world that he lives in. He's got his
Really?
acting world and he's a
Yeah.
full-time DJ and stuff. But talking about the
Daniel Craig would wear it. He'd wear the shit out of it.
yeah, and you know, I made a few hats for some celebrities, and that was a whole.
Names.
I can drop some names. Yeah, I'll
Go
drop
on.
some names.
Who have you made hats for?
I made one for yourself. that was the top.
The D grade.
That's
That's
the
above
spectrum.
anything above the D grade.
That's the spectrum. I made one for you, Michael Clark. I've made a couple for Matt Moran. I've made 3 hats for Chef Momoa, Jason Momoa.
Oh, really?
I made 3 hats for Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. He seems like he's very into that style. Hey.
Yeah, that was some fun ones that I made.
How
for
did he
him.
find you?
Well, he's stunt double. He's a buddy of mine,
Makes
and
sense. Is he stunt double from New Zealand?
his stunt double is from Australia. Yeah,
From Australia.
yeah.
Okay,
We used to live in the same building here in Maruba. That's how we met.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a crazy story.
And I was like, who the fuck is this monster dude
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
elevator? And we started chatting and blah, blah, blah. He was like, man, I do some work in the film industry. And I was like, man, you're getting massive. He's like, yeah, it's a new part that I've got going on. We became friends.
Aquaman.
And it was for Aquaman.
Yeah.
And so originally that came through because he wanted a hat for himself. And then we started talking about making one for Jason. He loved it. Said, can you do 2 more? And I did
Cool.
do different kind of abstract vibes, different kind of.
Did you make matching ones for Jason and his stunt double?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's a missed opportunity.
Well, I guess you can just take it if it works.
Yeah. That's mate. There's some big names.
Yeah, and then I made another one for Ed Sheeran.
Really?
Yeah, that was another one.
Big Ed.
Yeah, Teddy.
Yeah.
Big Teddy.
Yeah. What was his hat? What did you build for him?
It was a little fedora style one,
Of course it was. Yeah.
and it was
Ed strikes me as a big fedora guy.
yeah, covering his red mop.
What was the one you made for Jason?
That was
Was
a big pink one,
A big pink one.
huge, biggest hat I've ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I could have gone the other way. He seems like a black cowboy hat kind of guy.
He has what I thought was like the size that you win at a carnival or something. You know?
Yeah, like absurdly
He's
big.
like, no way is it that big. And but it was true, yeah. Big guy.
So just the one for Jason?
I made 3 for him.
3 for him. So
Yeah.
one was the pink.
They're all pink.
They're all pink?
They're all
He
pink.
has 3 pink hats?
Yeah.
Jason Momoa has 3 pink hats. That's actually like really blown me out.
Yeah. And that would challenge him because he didn't come in person to get them fitted as well. So it was very like
Touch and go.
a funny
Hoping
story
that
about
it fits.
how that happened was I was like, how the fuck am I going to get this guy's size correct? So I got creative and I went on Google and I just Google searched Momoa wearing a snap cap backwards. And then I just counted how many holes were open in the front. And then I got my own snap cap, measured the inside of it, and just ran with that. And it was close enough to what we
You're a
needed.
goddamn genius.
Yeah. Write that down. But then, you know,
I just didn't expect him to order 3 pink hats.
yeah, all different shades of pink. They're very rock and roll. They're very cool.
Yeah, he's very edgy with his style, and I like his you and Jason have a similar style. He likes beat up. Like every time I see him do an Instagram or something, or someone's filming him. I recently saw on a knife page, he was posting these 2 custom knives he had made for a movie. I think it's the new Fast and Furious movie, and so he was posting them, showing people what he had made, and he was wearing sort of like these old distressed cargo pants and like this ripped sort of shirt.
Yeah.
Just how he just sort of dresses like it's very derelict.
It's
like
very
cool slob.
yeah, it is.
Fashion.
It's very slobby, but it's like I think when you have access to anything at any time, you either go down the high premium sort of thing and you fall into that category, or you go into one of a kind stuff that's vintage that no one else has got, handmade. A lot of, I would see his post and everyone's sending him a mug or knives or axes or Harley parts or something, all custom handmade, and that was really cool to be able to.
Especially because of the millions and millions of people his socials reach, that people that are into the custom making of things kind of want his audience to see him repping their merch. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, it goes both ways. As I said before, followers don't necessarily mean much, but you get access to a different audience when you have like a wider range like that.
Has he worn anything you've made for? Like, have any of these big celebrities worn anything you've made for them in the public eye?
Not that I have.
Just more in the sort of private lives.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
There's something a bit more beautiful about that.
Yeah.
Like, not from a business sense, obviously, but from a personal pride sense.
Definitely, 100%.
Like, that's like got to seem like a huge achievement for a guy that started out making hats in an apartment in Bondi, and now some of the biggest celebrities in the world wearing them in their own private lives.
Yeah. Would
it kill you guys to do a shout out?
Yeah, do a shout out.
Tag the merch. Like, come on, Jason. Come on, Ed, if you're listening.
Come on, Teddy.
Yeah, come on, Teddy.
I've been buying so much of his hot sauce, hoping that he would be a fan. But to go into
take it on tour, Ted.
To go into that, at first I was butthurt. I was like, man, come on, post. And it's very interesting that you say that, because even on our level, I noticed people going into a cafe and they'd be like, "Oh, thanks for my eggs Benny," and they're like taking photos and tagging in the.
Yeah, so something as insignificant as that, and then you do this work,
and then I was just having this conversation just recently, and I was like, man, it's interesting because sometimes I have to ask people, "Can you send me a photo?" Like, I've seen you on holidays, I see you wearing the hat, tag it, send me a photo, and people don't think about it necessarily. They're just like, "Oh, it's just I just threw it on," but on the other side, they kind of taking photos of coffee brands or whatever it might be to get that name out there. I found it really
It's almost
interesting.
like they're willing to support large conglomerates or...
Subconsciously, it's kind of like they feel like they need to. Or you have to tell everybody at any time that I'm at this place. Restaurant name here, When you get something handmade custom, it's kind of like I'm holding that special gift to myself or whatever it might be.
It's funny though, when I got the hat, I fell so in love with it. I took it, my first trip with it was down to Melbourne to see the 12 Apostles. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them still standing.
Yeah.
It
After you left?
Yeah. The Apostles was like looking into a screensaver for a computer happening in real time.
Yeah.
It was the most... I can't even describe it. Like, it's so beautiful that your brain actually can't process the image. It's really quite surreal. When I was there, and knowing that that's like the last cliff face facing that part of planet Earth.
Yeah.
And then you go down to nothingness. And then back around, you keep traveling. If say you were to get in a boat and travel off the Bight straight down south, you wouldn't hit anything until you came back around the circumference of the Earth.
Wow.
Like, there's just nothing there except the South Pole, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that that's the last piece of coastline for this side of the planet, And then you've got these beautiful, just giant sort of like limestone cliffs.
Yeah.
It's honestly like breathtakingly beautiful. I wish we were there for longer because I wanted to do a helicopter flight that apparently it's highly recommended. But anyway, when we were down there, Hux! Sorry, my dog's barking. I've never had an issue in any house I've lived in.
No.
Never had an issue. No, he's the best guard dog. I used to live in quite a bad suburb in where was it? Anyway, let's get back to the hats. So, yeah, I wore it down there and just wore it everywhere. And then I remember posting on socials, and I was like, of course I'm going to tag you. Of course I'm going to try and promote a guy whose work I respect and has a small business. Like that's what, if I do something good for a client, I want them to tell their friends about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even when you said before, replying in 40 minutes, like I try and connect with every single person that I meet.
It's hard because not everything's transfers into a business deal, does it?
Not straight away. Sometimes you'd be very surprised. Like someone would say, "I've been watching you for the last 2-3 years, and I live in Luxembourg, and I want 4 hats." And I'm like, I have to Google where Luxembourg is as well.
Is it Germany?
Yeah. And so that to me is worth way more than the notoriety. It's kind of like, man, you've been following an actual follower of this, and it's really humbling to be able to make something for someone that they can tell someone else about. What about
that? Like it's the way I look at your work is it's wearable art. It's art that you can wear on your body and make a statement, a cool fashion statement that, you're a little bit different. It's the same but different.
Yeah.
It's wearable art and it's eye-catching. Like the amount of conversations that this hat has started just by wearing it out, where people are like, bro, where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh mate, my mate Dave from Bondi makes them. You gotta check him out. BSM on Instagram.
Yeah, man, it is funny. It is funny how, that my tagline was "Be Uncommon," and it kind of fell into place because
be on the spectrum. I thought.
Yeah, more spectrumy. But the ability for you to go into a shop and buy something off the shelf and walk out of it and cross paths with someone who's got the same thing, instantly in my world is something that I try and avoid. So
yeah, there's just something very clinical about going into a shop, buying an item of clothing, especially like a t-shirt isn't as, I don't know how to say this, but I feel like you could wear any t-shirt, you could wear any pair of jeans, but buying a hat or shoes always seem to be a little bit more tailored to someone's personality, right?
Totally.
And look, I'm wearing white Air Force Ones because I'm just a basic bitch, but that's just the way that it is. But the hat,
they're very white and clean though. They're good.
Yeah, they're new. They're new. So when I went, like say I didn't have this hat and I was to go in, I'd still stew over, like, because it is a specific fashion item as well as it is practical to keep the sun out of your face.
Yes.
And I just feel like there's something so clinical about buying that in a shop. There's no soul in it. It's a mass-produced item made probably somewhere in a third world country.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to it other than a commercial trade of goods and services.
Yeah.
Whereas with you, I feel like I met the maker, I got to touch the materials, I got to pick how it was stitched, I got to pick the colors. Like those things matter to a consumer.
Yeah, I think so more now than ever.
Correct.
Especially going through this whole COVID bullshit, everyone jumping online and online shopping booming. Being able to just guess what you want, what size it might be. Now, my business kind of boomed in the sense of, it was obviously social distancing, doing it right, but like someone coming around and actually doing what you did and having that experience, like picking the color, picking the shape, thinking about the design, will this work, will this not work, and bouncing those ideas. Because 9 times out of 10, I have no idea what I'm doing. A 0. I'm just like, yeah, okay, no worries. And I laugh about this because I'm covered in tattoos. And the first thing I would always ask my friends who are tattoo artists is like, what do you think about this? And they go, bro, it's up to you. Like, seriously. Like,
They don't care.
They don't care. It's
No.
your decision.
Yeah, it's going on your body, right?
it's up to you.
Did you ever complete the back piece you were dedicated
Yeah.
to me?
Yeah, I did. Got that done finally.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was just Daddy across the lower back and then a Muriel to me, yeah?
It was an outline of your face.
Mm.
Hey, Daddy.
Yeah, and just me sort of like holding a trident, I think we
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
Like
weird
a
at all.
lightning bolt
Not
coming
weird.
down.
Not weird at all.
No, that's just what bros do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not weird. I think the thing with the customers coming to you and saying like, "What do you think?" and I did the same thing. I was like, "Do you think this would be cool?" And you were like, "Yeah, like if you think it'll be cool, it'll
Yeah.
be cool." And
Yeah.
like that was actually the moment I was like, "Hey, he's right. Like this is so subjective,
Yeah.
and what I want is so subjective."
Totally.
Me asking the guy look, I'm handing over what I think is cool to you, and then hoping that you will build something along those lines.
Yeah.
And again, what you made for me completely blew my expectations out of the water, right? But in a sense, it's not up to you if it's cool or not. It's up to the person that's asking for it to get made.
Yeah.
What they
Oh,
want.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some real stinker ideas that I get. You know.
What's the worst idea you've heard?
Oh man, I had a girl send me a hand drawn picture of a hat when it looked like a block of cheese, and she's like, "Can you do this?" And I was like,
Yes, I can.
"I'm not sure if you want me to buy some cheese or." I mean, there's some real interesting ones, but that kind of comes back to that whole I can't put this one down, you know. A guy came to me and said, "I've got my kids' drawings. Can you translate that onto a hat, a teddy and a rainbow and
So they're like specifically,
their kids' drawings, and it had to be specific to their."
and then did they have to match exactly or as close to as
Yeah.
possible? Yeah, see, I find that those intrinsically valuable things to a person, kind of, that's sentimental, right?
Totally, and that one there, it worked in my favor because I can't draw to save my life, so I was kind of like, I can make this look like a kid. And then
That's me trying to do it good. I'll make it look like a child drew it.
honestly, I may as well use my foot sometimes. 'Cause it's
Because everything is hand stitched
it's all stitched
by hand.
entirely by my
And
hand.
is it still all done by you, or are you farming any of this out now?
All me.
All me still.
Yeah.
You're still making every single product
Yeah.
yourself in house.
In my bedroom.
Is there anything that you've done? Because obviously, the more you're growing, the demand is growing, and I can see like hopefully today, obviously, this gets the brand out there a bit more as well.
Yeah. I appreciate
People are
that.
obviously requesting more and more of your products, right? So, is there anything you've done to streamline the process or cut back so that you're just doing like the final touches, or
Yeah.
like are you paying school kids to just kick the shit out of the hats down the street, and then when they come
Yeah.
back, you just stitch them, or like what's the process now?
I just get someone to just reverse and go
A lorry over
over the
hats.
top of my hat. No, you know what? I think part of the reason as to why people still come to me in the first place is because they know that it is done by me.
Yeah.
And I think once I start handballing that over to somebody else, it kind of, in a way, I mean, this is what the big fashion brands lose at the end of the day. You know, they lose a little bit of that integrity when it's shipped off overseas. I mean,
I love that. So you're basically saying you refuse to take your hands off the products to keep the soul of the business in everything you do.
I'd love it to be that noble, but honestly,
Sounds that noble.
yeah, honestly, I wouldn't even know how to teach someone what I do because I actually don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm literally just making it up as I go. People ask me, "Hey man, can I be an intern? Can I come and do that?" I'm like, mate, I don't know where to start with you. Like, I wouldn't know. I just do. So later on down the line, perhaps there will be some sort of aspect where I can have someone come in and do the blocking and the shaping part.
That's what I was sort of getting at, was like, I feel like you could have someone size the hats, get them,
Yeah.
them ready for you,
Yeah.
and then you just do the final kicking the shit out of them touches.
I think so. The kicking the shit out of them touches is kind of what I love to do the most.
Yeah, and I am joking there, like it's no disrespect to what you do. I just feel like that is the look that they've sort of distressed. But I will say this, my hat is the cleanest hat I've ever seen. Crisp.
It is crisp.
Very, very clean. Doesn't look like it's been kicked the shit out of it all. It
I
actually looks really fucking cool. To be
Yeah.
quite frank.
I kicked that one. I kicked my
You
mowers.
knew where it was going.
I kicked my mowers hat a couple of times. I was like, fuck, this is too big.
Did you actually kick it?
It was, I kicked it across the room. It's part of it. It's part of it.
Just for good luck. No, okay, I don't take it back. You kick the shit out of what you were. No, but it is crisp, and it didn't actually come with any marks on it. All the marks that are on it are marks that I've put on it by traveling it
Yeah.
and wearing it and loving it.
Yeah. And that's the number one thing I say to someone when they leave, when I pick them up, or on a note when I leave it with them, is that, you know, if wearing it, adding more character to it, if it flies off your head and a bus runs over it, it's part of it.
That's what you said to me.
Yeah.
That's word for word what you said to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, does he want me to be wearing it when the bus hits it?
Yeah, man. There'll be a part from your hat if a bus runs over it.
That's all part of the history of the hat now. Yeah. Mate, yeah, look, the best part of sitting down and talking to you is the fact that when I do talk to you about what it is that you do and what it is that you make, I can still see that even though you are extremely humble about how you fell into this, but it's very clear to see you are still just as passionate as ever about turning out high quality materials and something that's unique to each customer. So how have you managed to keep that enthusiasm for it after spending, I'm assuming now, thousands of hours at your craft? How do you still have the same enthusiasm as when I first met you?
Mate, that's a really great question. I think it comes down to the fact that every single hat is different. I couldn't replicate it if I tried to, you know, like I honestly couldn't redo the same style. So and every single idea that comes to me is a bird, a butterfly, a skull, whatever it might be. So I think that plays its part, because it's not, here's another butterfly, here's another thing, because they're always going to be completely different. And the enthusiasm comes from being able to make something with my hands. Literally the end of the story is because I get that real-time feedback loop from someone saying, this is exactly what I wanted, blew me away.
And what is the hat that you've worn today?
This is just one that I made for myself. It's got bits of patches on the side that I hand stitched on there from all recycled bits of leather and thread and bits of shit that I find on my travels. Same stuff that I put on my pants.
Yeah.
And I really lean into the idea of like repurposing a lot of stuff. So all the thread is all stuff that I found. The patches from India, handmade bits of woven material. Even the thread, even the needle that I use is something that I found.
Really?
Yeah, I found it in a drawer. And apparently there's different size needles, and for different jobs I just use the same one.
For everything?
Same one, yeah.
I imagine it's blunt now.
I didn't know they get blunt. I thought a needle was just a needle.
So, how long have you been using a blunt needle for?
Well, that might explain why it takes so long to make all this.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to have to get you like a sharpening stone.
Yeah, or maybe I have to get a shout out to a sponsor to Spotlight or something like that. If you got any Janome little bits and pieces you can send my way.
Yeah. Everyone, mail needles into Dave's apartment in Bondi.
Yeah, fashion needles.
Mate, thank you so much for coming over and telling your story.
My pleasure, man. Thank you so much for even considering me to be part of your new project, man. It's like I said before, you know, connecting with cool people who do cool shit is what I like to do, and you're one of them, man. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that something that started out as innocent as how I want to wear your stuff has evolved into a friendship that I actually really value. And yeah, I think the thing for me is just to continue to try and just spread positivity. Like, you know, the podcast, since I started the podcast, I've had some really hard conversations with people. Like, I've done a few of them now, and every one of these podcasts is vastly different. Like, this has been nothing but positive, and we have a mutual interest or a mutual connection, which is your work, right? I had a guy in here the other night who was in a domestic violence relationship with an ex-partner, and then the mother of his kids dropped the two boys off on the footpath and left. Didn't even tell him. He wasn't even home. Just abandoned to an 8 and a 10-year-old boy at the front of a house. So the conversations and the things that's going on in the podcast have been really like kind of taxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really real, raw conversations, and then to still amongst all of that find a positive message is really hard. I feel like in that podcast the positive message was that just to keep going, don't give up on your kids. Focus on being the best dad you can. And the court system's tough. Get a good lawyer.
I think just naturally, the more that you connect with people, the more that you, with empathy, you can understand them, and having these intimate conversations with people. It doesn't matter if you're a hat maker or you're a fitness advocate or whatever it might be. Everyone has the story of how they started and where they're at now, and it is taxing because there's a lot of energy to move. There's a lot of energy in between those conversations, and it's like the more I connect with people, the more I know a little bit more about them, and that goes into what I create for them. It's my perspective on it. So what you're doing and having these conversations, bringing light to something is, that's your kind of art form right now.
Yeah. I feel like I always kind of wanted to do this. Podcasting's like a relatively new thing, but I always kind of wanted to sit down and have long form discussions with people and just get to the bottom of shit.
Yeah.
Right? And just, you notice the first 5 minutes when you sit down, it's very, that there's a camera on you and that there's, your voice is going into a computer and you feel kind of you're on a show, on the set of a show, right?
Yeah.
But then once you sit here for an hour, we've been here for an hour now, once you sit here for an hour, that's all gone.
Yeah.
And then it's you're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And then there's some really real stuff that's happened since I've started. Stuff that's really opened my eyes to the fact of how blessed we are.
Yeah.
I
can only imagine. And I've met you a couple of times, and I instantly knew that you're someone who has the ability to make people think about themselves and think about a topic at hand or whatever it might be. You have the ability to make that a topic of conversation. So it's only natural where we are now is, we have those long form conversations about whatever it might be because,
Are you grateful that your products and your art and your personality and all of these things that are rolled into what you do, are you grateful in a way that that's not only provided a space for you to live in Bondi, one of the most expensive real estate areas in Sydney, but also now you're doing quite well out of it. You're doing very well out of it for a small business, right? Are you kind of blown away by the fact that just making hats has just exploded into this sort of juggernaut that it is now?
I mean, it's, first of all, thank you, man. It's, to hear you say that from your perspective, it's really humbling to know that it's sort of got to a point of notoriety.
Oh, mate.
But I honestly,
you are very successful.
I wake up every day and I'm grateful for every single thing. I write it down every single day what I'm grateful for. Where I live, my friends, my family, my girlfriend, the ability that I can actually make stuff with my hands, the ability for me to have a skill that I learnt through other lines of work is how to connect with people and get that out of them. So I'm grateful for every second, yeah. And it is.
You deserve all the success that's come your way.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and that's it's very, very hard, especially in this day and age where there's a lot of attitude of I want to see people do well, just not better than me.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, I want to see you do as well as possible. I think if you're pouring your heart and soul and passion into whatever it is that you're building and creating and selling into the space for people to own and treasure, I really want that to be those sorts of businesses to thrive, because you're not taking advantage of anyone. You're not out there like trying to scam as much money out of people as possible. Like you're not a real estate agent.
Yeah, yeah.
You are you are giving in my own personal experience, you're giving someone something that they can love and treasure and feel proud of, and really almost like they've joined a small community.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, and I jokingly call this thing. It's kind of formed its own little thing, but I call it the BAM fam.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Am I a member of the BAM fam?
You're
I
a
didn't
BAM
know.
fam. You're in the BAM fam, and and my community is really like everyone reaches out. People love what I do. They tell me the stuff they don't like. I take it from my perspectives. Like, I appreciate your input, but let me fucking tell you why it's like this. But like everyone who I engage with in my social following is inspiring, And I meet with all these other creatives. The amount of people that I've met in this small amount of time, just in the fashion space, in art world and stuff like that, I was like, man, fucking hell, it blows me away how they were there all around me, but now we're connected.
Yes. Yeah. Are you going to Fashion Week?
No,
Do you want a ticket?
nah.
Okay. Too cool for that.
I'll probably be making hats, to be honest with you.
I've got a spare ticket if you want.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never been before. I just made a hat for a couple.
Hey, I'll send it to you.
So are you going to go?
What's happened to you?
Will you go?
I want to go, but it's during the middle of the day.
Is it?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to take time off work to go and get photographed at Fashion Week.
I don't know if I'll say yes, because I have no expectations of what it'll be like, and I can just.
Apparently, it's quite a good show, so I'll send you my ticket, and you can I'll RSVP, and you can just show
I'll
up.
turn up. I'll wear the skull.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey everyone, Harrison.
Yeah, no, mate, please take a ticket. Oh, and it's a +1 too if you want to take your missus.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
She'll hate it more than me, probably.
Good.
But I just made two hats for a couple who were in the Sydney Fashion Week, and one was a top hat, and it was a real funky kind of one. I was like, fuck, how am I going to do this? But we got it done.
You told me that you've made some funky design top hat type things before. I remember when I was walking through your apartment. I don't know if you finished it, but you showed me. Maybe you had. This is going back a long time now. But I remember you were telling me about a top hat thing that you'd made.
Yeah, I've made
some interesting ones. Hey.
I've made some interesting ones. Yeah, I made a hat. This is probably the one with Batman ears on it.
What?
It had pointy ears.
Really?
Yeah, it was a strange one. That was a
You
strange
stitched them on?
No, I made some little molds out of styrofoam, and I stuck it on top of the round hat block that I'd normally use. So it created these indentations, and I put the felt over the top of it, and it worked. It created
Really?
these pointy fucking ears, yeah.
Really?
And
Did you have to steam the shit out of the material
Yeah.
to get it to mold that
yeah.
shape?
And it's pretty malleable, but if you put too much pressure on, it's going to rip it. I've ripped a couple. But
How do you rip the material? Like just rolling it too hard, or squeezing it, or?
It just stretches out to a breaking point.
Right. So when it's steamed, and it becomes like, obviously the fibers loosen up, and they're not as like it's like untensing a muscle, right?
Exactly that.
And so what you just keep working it until the material just gives.
Until you push it too far, and it has a weak spot.
And are the blanks themselves, are you getting them like in bulk, or do you buy them in as you need them?
It varies. Depends on how busy I am, but generally because I have such a long wait time currently.
What is the wait time if someone wants to order a hat or an item of clothing through you now?
Currently, it's around about 8 weeks.
8 weeks. That's still not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. But
I think I rushed mine because I wanted to wear it to a wedding.
You were going away, so we did a.
And I rushed mine, and you turned mine around in less than 4.
Yeah.
It was 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the materials, it depends on if I've got access to them.
Mm-hmm.
When I
I
decided,
really appreciated the fast service.
Yeah.
That was really
Still.
cool.
the day that I decided to go full time, I was working with a supplier and ordering a couple of bits and pieces in, and I ordered a bulk load in. And the day that I decided to do that,
bulk load.
big bulk load come in from the Ukraine, Putin decided to invade. And I was
really?
like, this has got to be a joke. Like, stupid me, I wasn't watching the news. I had zero idea of the severity
So
of the
did you
situation.
put the order in and then the invasion happened?
That day.
Oh.
So I got this big bunch of felt coming over this way, but I was like, fuck. They're bombing everything, they're taking everything. Are they even going to be around so I can continue ordering from these guys? And fast forward to now, those people just kept going. They just kept going, working, they hadn't stopped.
The Ukrainians are tough, yeah.
They just, it blew my mind on doing things under stress, under pressure.
Yeah.
Nothing like war.
Did you Google which part of the Ukraine?
Yeah, in the middle. Kiev.
In the middle.
Kiev.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, in Kiev. Yeah. So they're sending it from there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so then I was like, man, we got lots of rabbits in Australia. Sure, we can just clean a few up around here.
No beavers, unfortunately.
Yeah, zero beaver.
We're short on beaver. That's why it's premium.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
And so to put it into perspective,
Who's out there skinning beavers, by the way, for hats?
Ukrainians.
Yeah. Maybe we need to invade to stop them from doing that because beavers are cute.
Well, the price has gone up so high. One blank for beaver can range around 500 US.
What?
So it becomes way
That's
more.
the most expensive.
That would be the
I would have thought
top of
like I don't know, but yeah, I would have thought like something like how much do you reckon platypus would be?
I think that
Something like the most expensive, surely.
yeah, I don't think there's enough platypus to go around.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Platypus.
It's what? How much smaller to a beaver is a platypus? That's something I want to Google now.
That's a really good question to Google.
Because I feel like there's probably not a more exotic animal than a platypus for hat making.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not advocating for the skinning of a platypus. I just want to get that out there. But I'm just thinking, where could we push it past beaver? And my mind just went to platypus.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if beaver have a little bit more real estate. I don't know what's going on with that.
There's more beaver to go around for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder, once you go above that, are you really going into like crocodile skin, snake skin, like real exotic shit?
I think that you still got to think about what the material is made of, right? Still hair, still on that scale.
So
it's still
it's
fiber.
actually hair. It's not like a skin or a
It's
leather.
the
It's
fur, and they spin it in these big
Ah.
vats, and it kind of looks like fairy floss, and then
Really?
it creates this cone shape.
What else has really exotic, expensive fur? So with platypus with marked off. What else?
I had someone ask me. They come into my studio one time, and as I normally would, I was trying to build rapport with this guy and his girlfriend, and we're chatting, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what's this one? That pink one looks pretty rad." And I was like, "That was Momoa's one, and that was beaver. It was the only beaver one that I really used." And I was like, "That's beaver," and I said, "Man, they must have wiped out a lot of beavers to make that one." And he didn't laugh. He was just like stone faced.
Stoic.
He was just like, And then I was like, I'm trying to read the room. His girlfriend was kind of looking at me, like giving me the nudge, and I was like, anyway, change the subject. He goes, "Do you have any vegan ones?"
Oh, right. But like, it's not really, I've cracked a few jokes, but it's not really harming the animal to shave it, is it, and get the fur?
Unfortunately, I think they have to cull them to get the.
I was hoping they could just shear it like they do a sheep, and then
It's pretty cold in Ukraine, so there's a lot of
yeah.
bald rabbits running around.
Once she gave you the nudge on and you went on to vegan, is there vegan hats?
Well, I was kind of like, well, unless rabbits to go vegan, like this is what I work with, and it's been happening for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I said, mate, this is what I use. So
Because they can't use animal products, vegans, can they?
zero out animal, but then it actually piqued my
Can you
interest.
use cotton as a material for making hats?
Well, there's a hat maker in the States who actually made arranged with mushroom leather.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That sounds cheap.
it's a different look. It's kind of look like that Crocodile Dundee kind of old school hat. You know what I mean? Like that. It's kind of shiny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
It's
so
doable.
what they're growing the mushroom to try and create a like a pleather out of it.
they create. It looks like material like this. It's like
He's
comes.
rubbing my leather lounge.
Yeah, This is vegan.
This is actually the same lounge that the experts sit on maths.
Is it for your interview?
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, for the show.
Oh,
The
Did-
lounge you're sitting on.
did you
It's
pinch
the
it?
exact same lounge that the experts sit on maths.
Oh.
No, I bought it from like Freedom Furniture for like $3.5 grand because it's a really nice brand in the lounge. And then when I was on maths, I was like, oh shit, it's the same couch.
Oh, so it's not the exact same one.
It's the exact same couch.
Same
No,
one.
not from the show,
Yeah.
but it is the, yeah.
I thought maybe you were like, fuck this.
Yeah,
I'm taking the
Once
last.
I got home, John fell out the bottom of it. It's really weird. No, but it is the same. It is the same model.
Same model.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's good. There's a good setup in here now. I love this little. I love
It's
this
actually
setup.
nice for me to have people over and sit on the couch because it gets me past the PTSD of the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I feel like I'm in control.
How have you felt re-simulating back into
Mate,
into reality?
I haven't had any, like, I'm a tall built man, right? So no one's going to come up and give me shit in real life unless, you know, because people probably want to, but then they're like, well, I could get smacked in the mouth, so I'm probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
Online, different story.
Yeah.
Online, it's very abusive.
Still?
No, not now, not so
Yeah.
much now, but I still, if I was to post something on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, I have to then go through and delete the comments. And this will blow your mind actually. Well, it did mine anyway. 99.9% of the online bullying is from women, which I found incredibly just startling. I would have thought it'd be guys putting shit on other people, but it's not. It's majority all women.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That's a deep conversation in psychology as to where that goes. But I guess from the guys, they're probably like, fuck, whatever she says, man. That's what I
Well, if you, in a sense, it makes sense because like the guys are probably more likely to tell you to your face. They're not really on social media being cruel to other people, whereas online, women can say what they like and kind of get away with it because it's not they don't have to say it to your face. So I feel like if there's a space where men are going to be bullies, it would be in real life, in person to you.
Yeah.
And then if there's a space where women are going to be bullies, it would be online because they don't have to get physical with it, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
So the online bullying space is predominantly women, definitely, from what I've seen.
in your
In my
experience, yeah.
experience, yeah. Like I could load up TikTok now and you could just go through the comments and like, man, the sad part is that the women might want to be mean to me or bully me, but then they pick on my girlfriend and I'm like, she's a woman too. Why are you having to go with her?
Yeah. I think it's like by proxy, right? It's kind of like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, guilt by association,
Yeah.
trying to attack her to get to me, but like it's not fair. Like, why would you attack an innocent woman for
yeah.
dating someone you don't like?
I don't, man. I think the whole reality TV kind of space is. I think there'll be studies on that. You know, like there'll be studies on how people react under that Truman Show bubble. You know, like and then the outside, because the bubble isn't necessarily the inside is the biosphere. Outside is what everyone's looking at. That's what needs to be studied.
Well, I think you have to remember that the show itself, they film so much. Those dinner parties go for 8 hours, and on the actual television screen, in between ads, you see probably about 30 minutes, right? The rest of the time, you see people talking about the dinner party, getting ready, all that sort of stuff. So the actual dinner parties on screen is probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then of that, the real action parts of the show, probably between 4 to 12 minutes, somewhere in there. Somewhere between 4 to 12 minutes of actual like the drama. It's really televised, and they drag they drag that out between as many outbreaks as they can, right? So you have to remember that if the dinner party goes for 8 hours, and this is just one example for one episode, the dinner party episode, that goes for 8 hours, sometimes longer, and you see 4 to 12 minutes of drama on TV, there's so much boring, mundane shit that happens on that 8 hours that you don't see, right?
Yeah.
You see like the worst 4 to 12 minutes that make it for television.
Yeah.
And so the audience thinks that those 4 to 12 minutes of drama where we get into an argument or something gets said or whatever, that encapsulates our entire personalities.
Yeah. And I think,
So that's been difficult, is coming back into society and then being like, no, that's not who I am as a person.
I feel as though like that was one of the things that I was thinking about the most about you when I was like, man, I can't imagine having to explain to someone is like, there's more to that story than what you saw in that 15-minute clip. There's way more backstory. There's way more information that needs to be downloaded.
Well, and it's funny because everyone that's met me before I went on the show, friends and family, acquaintances, people I've done business with, everyone's like, that's not what he's like in real life. And but those people don't want to get online and say that.
Yeah.
Because then the angry mob comes in and they just get smashed. My mum put up a couple of Facebook posts defending me, saying he's my son. I love him. Leave him alone. And the women just went for my mum like you would not believe.
Wow.
Were screenshotting her posts and sharing it across multiple different Facebook groups to get more eyes on it, to get more people to attack my mother.
Yeah.
And it was women doing this. And I was like, what are you doing in your life that you have to attack the mother of someone on a TV show?
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough.
To try and rally people to help you attack a woman for just defending her son.
Yeah, I think...
So I've seen the worst of humanity.
Any regrets?
Coming back off the show.
Regrets doing it?
Yeah, regret. One of my regrets would be staying there for as long as I did.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I really regret staying past the couples retreat. Once we got back from the couples retreat, the relationship was fucked. And I say that because I just no longer trusted her. I was falling for her going into the couples retreat, coming out of the couples retreat, just reeled it all back. I was like, this chick is playing me. I don't believe a word she says. For example, she was saying, I'd moved to Sydney, blah, 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 but I didn't feel it. And then you don't see this on TV, but when we got to the reunion, Bronte announced to the entire table, to just unanimous applause from the women, that her and her sister were moving to the Gold Coast. She made this big announcement to all the women applauding, yay, good luck, wish you all the best. Now she's moving to Sydney. So she just could never stick to a narrative. She could never make her mind up on anything. She just would change her opinion and her feelings as often as she changed her outfits. And in the relation, that just taxed the relationship. It taxed all the trust out of it. And I don't know if you've seen anything in the media that's been leaked since, but she knew, all that drama at the wedding, she knew who I was.
Yeah.
She just played me the entire show. So it's, people look at my behavior and think, oh, you're just an abusive narcissist. Well, I was in a relationship with one, and the network covered it up. They never showed her behavior.
Yeah. I must admit I didn't watch enough to form an opinion, but I would say as easy as your perspective is that someone else has their own perspective, and I think she probably had her own strategy in a
Oh, definitely.
subconsciously there's probably they all probably did,
I don't actually think she counted on falling for me. I think she thought she was just going to get in there and get out scot-free. I don't actually think she counted on the process. You can't help but get kind of like Stockholm syndrome. You can't help but you're both sort of in this movie set, and you kind of don't want to leave, but you don't really want to stay.
Yeah.
And then because you sort of feel you're not trapped, but you feel trapped, and then you kind of fall for your person that you're trapped in there with.
Yeah. You're
I
wearing
think
it
that's
together.
kind of what happened to us.
We're in it together.
Yeah. And so, in
Yeah.
a sense, even though we didn't trust each other, we kind of had to trust
Yeah,
each other.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
really, mate, again, like I'll never be able to describe what I went through to someone else until if you went on the show, then you and I could have a really big
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting that I got a few friends who've been on reality TV shows, and I was just like, why?
But nothing's like maths. That's the reason it's the number one television show, because nothing else is like it.
Because of the drama.
The drama, like you're matching two strangers
Yeah,
together in a
yeah.
fake marriage, right? And then filming them for 12 weeks to see what happens. And then you put them in the pressure cooker with other couples that are, their relationship's affected by you and your relationship, and your relationship's affected by them. And it's like it all feeds into itself. And it's like the producers then hammer. Like I remember there was two dinner parties where we were just all being civil. Everyone was getting along, right? And the producer walked in to the dinner party and said, guys, this is boring as fuck. We're bored in the room. Like, ask each other some serious questions. Come on, like this is fucking boring. And we were like, oh shit. And we realized very quickly they weren't going to let us go home until someone had a fight.
Right.
And who did everyone start picking on? Me. Everyone just goes, let's just go Harrison. It's just so easy. Right? And then I'm sat there going,
Wearing that shit hat every
yeah, who do you think you are? And then yeah, it was just on. And I'm the sort of person that like, I'm not gonna hold back.
Yeah. No, I mean, from what I saw, you could see there was definitely pushback from your side. You know, like I know enough about that scripted world to know that there needs to be a little bit of a fire, a bit lit for it to go up. I just can't imagine ever being put in that situation. That's why I asked, is like being on the outside, is like if you kind of get a different perspective of what entertainment is. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of understand why people are sending you these nasty, abusive messages, because they're encapsulated in this force-fed narrative that's not real. So they're kind of like, they're the kindling to all this sort of stuff, you know what I mean? So if you take, no one likes to be have bad things said about them, or your family, or whatever it might be. But if you take yourself out of that and actually look and see as to why, that's why, because of this entertainment thing that people are so...
Well, I watched this ad for this new television show where I think it's called The Summit.
Yeah, the new one, the hanging off the cliffhanger thing?
Something like that, yeah. I watched an ad for it, and there was this guy with an avocado tattooed on his arm. He was a vegan.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and quite a cool guy. Like, and I was watching this ad, and he was saying things like, yeah, you know, it's a race to the top, and if you don't keep up, I'm going to cut you from the team. And just really cocky and confident. It was like, yeah, he said a line. He goes, "You can trust me till you can't," and then sort of laughed about it.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I was like, this is so produced. Like, this poor bloke doesn't actually know what he's saying. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to come across as confident. But what confidence when you're sitting there saying that shit, what it actually equals in the edit is cockiness.
Yeah.
Because they'll edit 3 of them. They'll get you to say that stuff 10 different ways, right? And by the end of it, like the first 2 things that he would have said wouldn't have been that cocky, wouldn't have been that confident.
Yeah.
And they've said, that's great, like keep going, give us more.
Let's say it a little bit
Yeah,
more.
like again. And so then he's had to retake that probably 10 times. And they've kept the last 2 where he's over it. And then he's just gone fucking full ball, made it as animated as possible, as confident as possible. And the producer, the editing producer's gone, brilliant. This is what
We got it.
That's a wrap. And so what they've done is they've cut, I can see straight through it. They've cut the last 2 or 3 things that he said, which would have been those lines. And that's now his character. And then I read through the comments, and everyone was like, look at this fuckwit, loves himself. You know, the thing he needs to be taking up the mountains of mirror so he can look at himself. And I'm thinking, you fucking idiots, you don't actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like that guy is probably the sweetest, nicest, coolest guy in real life, and then he's got a producer and a camera in his face telling him what to do,
Yeah.
and he's probably is, and I could see by all accounts a really confident guy.
Yeah.
Then you take that guy and you get him to hammer up for television, and what you get is a cocky dickhead.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because when you describe that to me, I get in my mind this weird sense of like art, like this weird, really strange creation. You know, like I take a little bit of here, I take a little bit of there.
Basically, what you do, right?
Yeah, make it. You know, in some way, it's some.
You weave the story.
It's creating something out of nothing in a sense, you know, and it's putting a perspective on it.
Oh, you just described reality television.
Yeah, but what I would say, now that you're out of that space, creating this kind of environment should really elevate you from others, because you have the ability to dial into real conversation and making it organic and authentic. Because that snippet, that little snackable piece of information that goes around on Instagram or TikTok, that's lost in the void straight away, except for the abusive information that comes back. And then it tries to build and build and build. You have the ability to have real-time conversations with people. And I think people naturally gravitate more towards authentic and natural, good vibe, positive vibes, you know what I mean?
What is a positive message you would send, if you could, out into the universe?
If I was to send something out there, I would say, if you have thought about taking that step and doing something, and it has become more of it's more ingrained in your DNA than you thought it was. It's become more than just a hobby. Then really lean into that and just take that plunge, because regardless if you've been a real estate wanker or you've been a TV producer, there's elements of your life that you probably have this other part of you want to change and do something different. So I would really say dive into and lean into that step.
I feel like if you really sink your hands into something that you're passionate about, money and success kind of follow that. Yeah? Not initially, but eventually it does. Anyone I've seen that started a small business where they're doing something that they're so passionate about they couldn't imagine themselves doing anything else, they're the happiest people, and they're usually the most successful.
Yeah, I think so. If you remove all the weight of I need to get my ticket to the fashion week, or I need to get my shirt.
You have one now.
Thank God, I've made it. And if you remove all that external validation stuff, and you really lean into like the internal stuff, this kind of gets woo-woo. But I mean, you don't have any other option to be happy.
No.
And my girlfriend is a perfect example of that. And this is not like a shout out specifically, but it's like she gets up every day and she's bubbly and she's energetic and she's happy, and she goes into her studio and she makes jewelry, and she does the similar thing to me. Like, she meets people and does that, and I was like, man, that's I'm addicted to what you've got. You know, it's so infectious to be able to.
It's really cool that you two have found each other.
Yeah.
You both make. So she makes custom jewelry.
Yeah, she makes all my jewelry. She does the markets, Stash Jewelry. Her brand is
Shout out Stash Jewelry.
Stash Jewelry, and she
Find her on Instagram.
does the markets on.
What's her name?
Tash.
Tash. And Tash
Does the markets on Bondi every Sunday.
Does she?
Yeah.
I've been in those markets. I've probably seen your
You would
girlfriend and not even known.
You would have, yeah. And she.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tash.
Yeah, I've got all these rings on my hair.
Tash from Stash Jewelry. And what does she make? She makes handmade jewelry.
Handmade pieces.
Engraved.
She does all
pieces
engraving
of
pieces.
jewelry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long has she been doing that for?
Years. Way longer than I've been making hats for.
So she's better at it than you are.
She is the one who uses power tools, and I use a needle and thread.
That's actually pretty badass, isn't it? Yeah. So she's like a tradesman in a sense.
She's
and you're the artistic.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fluffer.
Look, I think it's important to find something that you're passionate about and good at. And again, like I said, I think success follows.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing something you're passionate about, you can't really ever fail at it. Because it's, again, you're passionate about it,
Yeah.
right?
And you know, to tap on that, you can only fail if you allow it to. If you fail, you know, like one thing I would never regret working in the work that I did, running nightclubs and being in hospitality and doing software and being in the environment, but taking that step and working for myself is the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And my level of success is what I do every day.
And I find it interesting now that you're with a partner that's also in the same field. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That you two found it. Were you? How did you meet? What's the story there?
I stalked her on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah.
In a creative way.
Yeah, of course it was.
I was generally interested in what she did.
Really?
Yeah, so I was interested in knowing how she made her jewelry, and she was like, "Yeah, okay, loser, like
Okay, loser.
Google it." Or, you know what I
Fuck off.
mean? So, and
Really?
I think I wrangled her into letting me come to her studio in Utah,
No way.
and I was looking at her stuff, and I was like, "How do you do this? How do you
Did
do
she
that?"
actually try to blow you off and say Google it?
Yeah, she was not interested at all.
Oh, Tash, come on.
Yeah, she was like, "This is just another guy trying to angle in."
Hit me up in the DMs.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries. What time did I come past?" And then when she realised that I
Do
wasn't,
you know what she looked like? Was her photos on there?
yeah,
Okay, alright. So it was like a bit of interest in both things, right?
I was definitely interested in her
Her and
what she did.
And what she did, yeah, and her craft.
And then she was kind of like, I don't know, I think she had a big night the night before or something, and she's just like, "Can you get out of here? Like, can you buzz,
Oh, really?
buzz off, mate?" And I'm just
She
like,
was trying to blow you off constantly.
tell me about this thing. She's like, "Fuck." And then 3 years later, we still.
What won her over? So you've snuck into her DMs. She said, "Come by the studio in Newtown." You've shown up. You're looking at jewelry. Walk me through how you got from there to asking her out.
I think what I did from memory is I made a hat for her. I made a hat for her.
Did you offer to do this?
Yeah, I think so, because I think she had a piece of jewelry that I wanted to put on a hat. So it was a trade.
Oh.
So, but I was like, "I'll make a hat for you," and I made it
And
this
you
really.
want jewelry, you wanted something in exchange, right?
Yeah.
And so you make this hat. What was the hat?
It was like a big wide brim black hat with a butterfly on the side of it.
Does she still wear it?
Yeah, it's a favourite thing.
Cute. That's
It's a
really
favourite thing she owns.
So you made this hat. Did you brought it back to the studio in Newtown?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, we did an
Or did
exchange.
you say, "Listen, I made this hat really nice. That maybe we could catch up for a coffee and
Yeah.
give it to you."
No, because I think at the
How
time
did it happen?
I think I was like, "Oh, I've got this hat. Here you go. Thanks. See ya." And then
Oh, really?
see ya.
Was your voice all high pitched and girly?
Yeah, that's how I talk to girls.
Okay,
Yeah,
right, yeah. I mean, look, everyone's got their thing, right?
It works for me. It works.
Whoa.
Worked that one
Really?
time.
Really?
Worked that one time.
Okay, so you bring the hat back into the studio.
She was like, "Oh my god, fuck, you made this," because she couldn't believe that I actually made them.
Mm.
And I told her the story about it all, and then we had a lot in common. And then she was in Bondi, well, she was in Coogee, and then we had a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that. It was kind of like,
How did you're glossing over, how did you get to the coffee or the drinks, or what was the date? How did that happen? You've obviously asked her out. Give me the story.
I think,
You made this hat for her. She's got the hat.
okay, so I won her over with my high-pitched voice and my creativity. We went to
I mean, it's irresistible, right?
we went to the beach, and
You asked her to
the
the
day, we organised to hang out at the beach, and that was the day that COVID lockdowns happened.
Oh no!
And I specifically remember we were the only two on the beach in Coogee,
Awesome.
and she was like, I'm not going in. And I was like, fuck, we got to go in. Like, there's a guy calling out to us through
The
to
PA system.
he's like, can you get off the fucking beach? And I was like, they're only talking to us. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, I like this girl.
Yeah.
I think I can stick around with this girl.
So she was like, basically, fuck off to the.
She was like, I'm not going. This is the beach. I'm not getting off the beach.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
Backbone.
Yeah. So then.
So just a quick side note. I remember jogging around Bronte Beach, and they had fucking fenced off the beach, like a small section. I think it was like half the beach where the sand is, and you couldn't access the sand of the beach. They had fenced it off with like proper sight fencing.
Yeah. Scaffolding.
Yeah, and if you went onto the sand, you were going to get a fine. I remember reading a story of a guy who jumped the fence to jog on the sand in Bondi
Yeah.
and got a fine during COVID.
Yeah, that was some crazy
Mate,
shit.
it was fucking insane.
Yeah.
Cafes were still open, but you couldn't jog on the sand in Bondi. I honestly, that time was fucking wild.
Yeah.
That was a wild time. So I do not blame you for being attracted to a girl that blew off that insanity.
The other part of that whole thing was like, I'm naturally introverted, right? And so being in lockdown with someone who's also creative allowed us to create some of the best shit we've made. You know what I mean? We were actually we've been like doing lots of cool stuff.
And you work like artistically influencing each other?
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of like, she's like, can you shut up about hats? I'm like, I don't care. And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, I've got to check myself. But she's definitely something like she's definitely.
What about hats do you talk about that she gets over?
Just some dumb ideas that I've got for a design or something. Like, what do you think about this? And she's like, you've told me that 10 times.
See, it's funny. You're doing to her what I did to you. I remember I was asking you all these questions, and you're like, "Yeah, man, it's fucking cool, whatever." Like, just
Yeah.
build the fuck out.
Yeah,
and you're probably doing this today. Like, "Do you think it's cool?" She's like, "Dude, it's cool. Just build it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just make it. If you think it's cool, make it." Right? That's what you fucking said to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, having someone who's equally as creative in your relationship, I think helps a lot. It's high energy, but yeah, I think it plays its role.
Mate, the story of how you got started, is a cool story. But now you've introduced, there's a love story that's blossomed as a result of your story, which is just equally, if not more, interesting. So that's why I wanted to probe in, and I could see you were kind of uncomfortable sharing some of that stuff. But I want to be honest, it's a really interesting story.
It is interesting. I'm not uncomfortable. I just have to think about it because I can't remember it.
Oh, was that it? Okay. All right. So, good that you weren't.
Yeah.
I just was like picking up this kind of like, I was hesitating a lot, and I'm like, is he uncomfortable? Like,
yeah.
Me being me, I'm like, I don't care. I wanted the story. I wanted to hear it.
Yeah. You know,
I obviously care about you being uncomfortable, but I didn't care about the uncomfortableness or whatever I was picking up. Obviously, it wasn't that, but that fades. The story is really interesting. You built a hat for a girl. Like that's like so romantic.
If
you
I
took it in and you built art for her, and then specifically for her, and then now you're on a date with her at the beach, and she's like telling the PA guy to fuck off and like show. You've sort of thought that was attractive, and then what happened? Did you go out again after that? The beach day?
Yeah, we just started dating after that. We're lockdown buddies.
You and Tasha.
Yeah. But you know what's really interesting about that whole thing is the circle of, it started from an old girlfriend, and then it bloomed into a new one. You know what I mean? Like,
man, some of the best relationships come on the back of some of the worst.
Yeah.
Look, in my case, I'm really happy on the back of going on national television and having a shit time. You know what I mean? And my relationships blossomed as a result of that. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I know what it's like.
Yeah. Perspective. It's all
perspective. I think asking you earlier about your positive message into the universe. Did we cover that?
Yeah.
I have a shit memory for that stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Lean into that. Lean into your calling
It's a really powerful message.
Yeah.
Lean into your calling.
Yeah.
Mine would be, you are loved and you are enough. And you don't know that sometimes in life, you're someone's reason to smile, even if you don't know it.
It's beautiful.
My positive message for the day.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Should we end on that note?
I love that. Loved everything about that.
Dave, thank you so much.
My pleasure, my man.
It was really good. It's really good.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Mate, I wanted to dig because people don't know sometimes that their story, something could be really interesting to you and then super boring to the audience, right?
Yeah.
90% of the shit that comes out of my mouth is. But then that little story about you and Tash,
Yeah.
really cute.
Yeah.
Really cute. Love that.
You know what? And that's what I was saying before. I was like, now having your view, like a top down view on that, will elevate your conversational skills with people, because you naturally can dig something out of someone, and then doing it in a way where it makes people want to share their story is like, it's a fucking skill that a lot of people don't have. You know, it's really important to be able to go, man, have you met this person? They met through this, and it's like this connector, and then your job is done. It's done, and that's the positive vibe. You know, like that's the.
But you are very naturally interesting. You probably don't see it. Right?
I definitely would say I don't see that. Yeah, but
we're still rolling, just so you know. But yeah, you are very naturally interesting because you're quite a character. Yeah, and like not a lot of people are like, you're just cool. You're just very cool.
Yeah.
And then I kind of want to like, why are you cool? Explain it to me. Like, so I want to get it.
Yeah.
Right? And then now, because of that cool story, now you've got this like romance. It's like, that's another story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to explore that. I wanted to hear how that happened. Like, you probably don't think it's a big deal, but to people listening, they're like, oh, that's fucking really cool. Like, he made hats, and now he's got a girl's number, and now they're going on a date, and now they're in love, and now they're living together.
Yeah.
Now they're these two artists that live together. Like, you don't think it's cool.
Yeah.
To me, that's really cool.
You're right, man. You are right. It is interesting to dissect your own story. This is part of the reason when you called me and was like, hey man, I've got this idea. I was like, yes, because I don't know whatever path it could have gone down. It's just good to be able to talk about a story, you know. And I think once you do that more often, I'll go out of here. I'll pick apart my own story. Like, man, fuck, I didn't think about that. It's always
You
been
always think of that shit after, hey?
Yeah.
Like the thing is, man, there's so many times that I've had a conversation with someone, and even after starting this podcast, when like I'm like, fuck, man, I should have asked that question, or I should have said this, but that is also the beauty of this, is it's imperfect,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
raw, and it is organic, exactly like what you appreciate about your work, right?
Yeah.
Is it just all kind of happens and falls together, and then in the end, this product is that it's actually really cool, and people gravitate towards it, and you don't really know what's going to be special about each podcast, but I can tell you that in the time we've spent together today, there's been a couple of really big nuggets of gold in there, and one of them is the story of how you met Tash.
Yeah.
It's a really cool story. Another one is just the fact that you were just wearing this distressed hat down the street, and someone stopped you and said, can you make one for me?
Yeah.
All of a sudden this business is born. It's another really cool story.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, you don't know what's really cool about your own story because you lived it, right?
Yeah.
But to me, hearing it, like I was blown away by that Tash story. Like, it's really cute. The meet cute of you going into her little studio in Newtown and like fidgeting around with all of her shit, and she's
annoying her.
hungover and kind of want to do it, you know what I mean? And then the next minute she's at the beach with you and Coogee and you guys are vibing.
Yeah.
It's a cool story. You probably didn't think of that.
No, I mean, you kind of glaze through it, you know. You do kind of think just another day. But you're right.
And because I'm sitting here as the audience, I'm like, cool story.
Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah. I think that's, I I mean, we're naturally curious for everything, right? We're always interested in knowing a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But man, I'm stoked to be part of.
What are you working on next? What's big for you next?
I'm gonna start doing some clothes.
Yeah.
My biggest hurdle.
I'm just going to leave all this in, by the way.
Yeah, do it, man. My biggest hurdle is.
It's like we ended with it, we kept going. It was like, oh, encore, behind the scenes, cool.
That's the OnlyFans version.
Yeah, take your pants off, show us what pants. Yeah, look, I've got this new tattoo, it's right by my collar. So what's next for you? Clothing?
Clothing.
Delving into clothing?
Yeah, so I will do because I customize all my own stuff. And that's
Imagine
it.
like we stop recording and then you're like, fuck bro, I fucking hate you. Why'd you get it? You're like, you're a dick. And then I like forgot to stop the record. That would have been actually pretty funny. So clothing, pants, jeans, what are we talking?
I'll start with jumpers. I'll do.
I love that jumper, bro. Can I have one?
I've got one in the car for you. I've got one. Yeah,
Yes!
I've got one.
I love free shit. Especially your free shit.
I've got one for you. And
Love that. Is it a size women's small?
yeah, it's cropped.
Beautiful. That's what I wanted. I wanted that belly button showing. Yeah, nice. I love that, man. I'm gonna wear that fucking everywhere.
gotta
Bro. I'm
find
gonna be like a billboard for you.
I had to piss, so I didn't come in. That's why I was fucking left it in the car. But I'll go get it.
That's
But
all
next,
good, bro.
I'm gonna do another collaboration with Spring Court Shoes. Some other brands have sort of reached out and they want to do some stuff together. But if it doesn't make sense for me, then I just say no. But there's a couple of cool ones that I want to do. And then for me, it's just like
The Spring Court stuff is so fucking basic, which is kind of cool. Like, are they French? Is
they're
that
French.
Yeah, but their stuff is so basic and generic,
So
which kind of works for some brands. Yeah,
okay. So this is a cool story.
nothing wrong with basics, but their stuff is so basic.
Yeah.
But the stuff you did on their product was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I actually regret not buying. Can we, like, anyone listening, can we get that? Like, is that coming up again?
We're gonna do it again,
I regret
Probably.
not buying a pair of shoes,
probably in July.
but they didn't have any of women's size small when I was in there.
Yeah, they didn't. We sold out.
Yeah, damn. To anyone listening, is it coming up again? It's more Spring Court
More
collabs.
We're doing another Spring Court collaboration probably in July.
Anyone listening, July, this will be out by July.
Yeah.
I'll
And I'm
make
gonna
sure this is out by July.
Hand stitched designs on an old
Early
range.
July?
All of July.
All of July. Anyone listening, all of July,
Yeah.
you can get Bam Bam's collab
Yeah.
with Spring Court. And you have to go and check it out. Like,
Yeah.
the stuff was really cool. The stuff I saw, like, you were stitching, like, you'd stitch, like, these, it looked like kind of like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then, like, it was just cool, man.
Yeah, but
you gotta get it.
They have a very basic silhouette. That's what they're known for. That canvas white tennis shoe.
Yeah.
So my idea was leave it white, but put my color all over it.
Which is what made it so
Yeah.
eye-catching,
Yeah.
right?
But I didn't anticipate how much work was involved in them. So I was getting bits of leather and I was doing a skull and a
Yeah.
butterfly and all this sort of shit.
Yeah.
And
it's
then-
cool that you ripped off my design, bro. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was a strawberry skull actually. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I
I should be getting some sort of like
Some royalty.
Yeah, some royalty for it.
I'll put
Can
you in
you do
there.
like a little gas light on the side of one of
I'll just hold a
yours
match.
for me, and just like a burning match or something.
And that's
Just,
burning on both ends.
Yeah. Just be like, this is the Harrison Bam. Yeah.
2003 collaboration.
Yeah, the Gaslighter edition.
Buy it. Or
Yeah.
fucking don't.
Yeah, buy it or something. Or what was that thing that I said at the dinner party? Or else or some shit. I can't remember. I was just so pissed that everyone was talking over me when I was trying to get my
Yeah.
screenshots out, bro. I really thought that was going to burn. And it just was a joke. Such a flop. Dick move on my end. But you know what? Kind of don't regret that because I still feel like she should be way more embarrassed than I was for sharing it. Like, she's messaging someone I used to see to dig up dirt on me 6 weeks after we'd broken up.
Yeah.
That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, man. That's a whole. That's a
Another
whole.
thing, huh?
That's a whole nother.
Yeah. So in July,
July, I'll do the shoes.
the collab with Spring Court.
Yeah.
What else is coming out? That's big
I'm
for
gonna
you?
do. I'm gonna launched the merch, so we'll do some
Where can we get the
Bam Bam
merch?
branded on, just through my Instagram is where I do.
Do you have like an online store that you can link for all this stuff to?
Yeah, I do. I have got a website, got everything on there. But then like caps and stuff, like different kind of things. I got lots
Shit,
of
like
ones.
snapbacks, bro. I love a Bam Bam snapback.
Doing a snapback.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I love, bro. I always wearing snapbacks.
yeah, yeah.
I just refuse to grow up and just dress like a 90s member of NSYNC boy band kind of shit.
Well, that's
my
the
style,
beauty
bro.
of that. The cycle will come back around at some point.
Yeah, I'll be cool again.
You wait
actually,
long enough.
yeah. I'll be like that 60-year-old dude wearing that like cool 20-year-old shit.
Ride a skateboard.
Yeah, I do ride a skateboard. Bro, I'm such a cliche now that you mention it. I ride a fucking skateboard. Like, I'm such a fucking cliche.
I
think I'm
can fix those holes in your jeans too.
Yeah, you know what? I would actually love to send you some stuff and you can like
Yeah.
bam that for me.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, like so anyone that's following along, we can go to your Instagram online store, we can get the merch. Anything else that's coming up?
Just
And those are massive deals.
kind of, yeah. For me, my biggest focus is doing the custom work and getting the story out there. That's for me is where my focus is at.
Yeah. Cool.
Telling that story, getting some coverage, get it on the Momoas and the Ed Sheerans and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jason, if you are listening, like, would it fucking post kill you? You know what I mean? And tag Bam Bam.
Maybe he's been tagging Bam Bam and not BXM.
Yeah. That character from Flintstones
Yeah,
is getting like a massive
Korean
shout
K-pop
out.
star.
Yeah. yeah. Meanwhile, like you're homeless, like really struggling, and then like some Korean K-pop stars like doing really well out of it.
I have to do some TikTok dance.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Nah,
Thanks for
I really appreciate it, bro.
My
We ran
pleasure.
way over, but you know what? Like a bit of behind the scenes chat, never a bad thing.
Dude, man,
It's like 20% extra that people didn't know they were going to get.
love it, man. Love it.
Alright, buddy. Thank you.